Hey everyone, welcome to Tent Talk, the Farmers Market podcast. This podcast is all about farmers markets. Whether you're a farmers market manager or a small farmer or food maker selling at farmers markets, you have found just the right podcast.
I'm Kat Fields-White.
And I'm Bridget Myers. We're longtime farmers market managers, educators, and consultants. Get ready to catch up on all things farmers market pros with us. Today, we're chatting about giving those kiddos something to do at the farmers market while school's out.
School's out for summer. Today's episode of Tent Talk is supported by Vendor 101, helping small farmers and food makers launch successfully at farmers markets and streamlining the application process for market managers. If you're just starting to think about launching a farmers market business, or if you recently started selling at markets and would like to brush up on your operations knowledge, this is the class for you. Market managers can reduce time spent answering prospective vendors' inquiries and help new farmers and vendors get off to a good start by connecting them with Vendor 101. Do you manage a lot of applications on an ongoing basis? Contact us about creating a personalized Vendor 101 program for your markets. Register for Vendor 101 today by clicking the Vendor 101 logo on the resource page at farmersmarketpros.com.
Well, welcome back to Tent Talk, everybody. Today we are chatting about kids at the market, both inside the tent and in the aisles.
In most areas, school's out for summer break. If you're homeschooling, God bless you, you still got them. But in most areas, school's out. So you'll be seeing more little ones with their parents at the market.
For sure. Either shopping or maybe your vendors and staff are having to juggle their little ones being out of school and either shuttling to camps or figuring out what to do with them during the day. Whatever that may be.
You have a clear understanding of this, right?
I am a seasoned professional at this, okay? My oldest is 21, so I have been juggling school breaks for a long time, and it is...
I mean, your oldest is 21, but you've also got little ones.
Oh, yeah. I'm just saying I've been doing it for many, many, many years. But yes, I have a 14-year-old and an 8-year-old, so kind of juggling that situation is always a trick.
So you're a market mama pro.
That's right. Market mama pro. Start a new business.
That's right. Whole new group.
Yeah. So finding out ways at your market to kind of encourage families to come out and shop on the shopper side. And, you know, I think that parents that are home with their kids for the summer are always looking for fun things to do. I know even though I work through the whole summer, I'm still looking for like extra special fun things to do with my kiddos. They're mostly in camp for the whole summer, but looking for things to do on the weekends. And by weekends, I mean Sunday because I'm not working that day, or after school. So if there's like evening markets, I know we make it out to our neighborhood market that we don't run anymore, but it's on a Thursday afternoon in our neighborhood. And so I usually bring my boys out there after camp just because we're looking for extra stuff to do. They don't have homework in the evening. So, you know, I'm just always looking for ways to entertain them endlessly.
Well, and kids, I think most kids seem to love markets. We see so many kids having a great time at the markets. It's way more fun for your kids if you're buying groceries at the farmer's market rather than a big box grocery store. There's not a whole lot of stuff for kids to see and do in a grocery store, I feel like. Yeah. But at the market, there's, you know, so much activity and they're outside and there's just a lot more stimulation and fun. And you're talking face to face with the people who make those products. The farmers tend to be really welcoming and the vendors to kids and eager to talk to them. So that's nice.
Yeah, you can see friends at the market and like hang around and chit chat, where at a grocery store, you might run into somebody, but it's not really like a hangout place.
Yeah, right. Just trailing along with that cart.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk a little bit about programs to engage kids at the market that keep anything from little kids to teens coming back with their parents each week. And then there's also good opportunities to get older kids, yours or other people's, involved at the market.
Can you say intern?
Right?
Yeah, but before we put them to work, let's talk about what you can do to make visits more fun.
Yeah.
So what are some specific things that we can do at the market to make visiting families have a little bit more fun, maybe stay a little longer, shop a little more?
Yeah, for sure. So you can start by clicking over to Canva, to our account, and we'll maybe post it in the show notes. We've got a bingo card there that is a big hit. We've used it for market managers at our conference with a little bit of revision, but there's a bingo card there that's great for families and kids, and, you know, find the blueberry farmer and find a red vegetable and all those good things.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's fun for adults too, but the kids just really get a kick out of it. And you can have a prize at your info booth, maybe like a little sticker or a pack of seeds or something like that, or just say it's all for fun and they can take it and feel accomplished and the kids can take it home, or maybe put a little coloring page on the back or something fun for them to do.
Yeah, we've seen also, in terms of getting people looking around at the market, you can do it as a scavenger hunt.
Mhm.
So, certain things to find there. And then we've also seen markets that have had maybe a stuffed chicken, and you find Charlotte the chicken at whatever booth she's in. You hide it in different booths each week, and
Mhm.
that turns into a fun thing for the kids. And maybe they have a card that shows how many times they've found Charlotte, and then they get prizes when they accumulate a certain number of stamps, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I love that. There's Flat Stanley is still a thing. I don't know
Oh,
if you have little kids, but usually you have like a drawing of a guy, Stanley, and you kind of mail it around to different family members across the country. But you could have a Flat Stanley or a
a
flat
flat farmer.
a flat cat. I'm gonna make a flat cat. And each week it's your flat farmer is at somebody's booth. So it's in, the bucket of flowers or it's in the squash, and the kids have to go around each week and find the flat farmer or find the flat cat.
I think you should mail that flat cat around. Now, Flat Stanley, it gets mailed to different places, right?
Yeah.
That people take pictures of it in different locations.
Yeah.
I say we start mailing Flat Cat around to markets that I haven't had time to get to.
Here is our second business of the podcast that we're starting. Where's Justine to tell us to stop
Right,
with these
right.
ideas?
Right.
We're
We
missing
need
you.
her going, stop. No, no new programs.
Oh, but that's always fun for your kids, is to kind of look out for stuff. And it helps your vendors because then the families are walking around and really looking at each booth, as opposed to just kind of beeline to their favorite farmers and vendors and then scooting out. It helps kind of get some vendors who maybe are interested in getting some different shoppers kind of wandering around and taking a look at their booth. So maybe your vendors would be really interested in having a stuffed chicken or a flat farmer in their booth for the week. So
Yeah, what a good idea.
yeah.
Yeah, that it really can be a great marketing tool as well.
Yep.
You can do more organized programs like craft tables, kid-friendly cooking demos, get a chef come out and show what kind of things, simple things kids can make in their kitchens. Be sure to, when you do that, to figure out a way to pay your chef, preferably in market money, so that they can be sure to use ingredients in that demo that relate to your market. So you don't want them opening up a bunch of cans there and making something. You want it to tie in with the market. Or seedlings. We've seen a lot of people do programs with like kids gardening projects where they're planting little tomato plants or pea plants or what have you.
Yeah, I love that. It's kind of easy, simple. They could do succulents or other, just anything that your vendors have that they can kind of divide into smaller places and have little cups for them to plant stuff. They love that stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I know your kids love the community gardens and things.
Mhm.
There is a very organized program called Power of Produce that's been around for a long time. And Farmers Market Coalition has a lot of those resources on their website. So they have toolkits, lists of activities, and kind of explanations for how to organize those. I think they have some tips on there about how to get somebody to sponsor that. And that's a really popular sponsorship opportunity. So for a local business that's involved in anything related to kids, the chance to kind of have their name attached to your craft table area,
Mhm.
put them on an A-frame outside that tent and say, kids crafts activities sponsored by, Mama's Kids Clothes or whatever. Good marketing partnership for both you and a local business.
Yeah, we had for a long time, there was a local art teacher that had art summer camps and art classes during the school year, Mona Lizzie's art. And so she ran her own program, but we had her we would just give her a booth once in a while to do crafts and such at our weekday markets. And she would come and she could hand out her business cards and things, but then she'd have the kids like painting pumpkins and making crafts out of strawberry baskets and planting little seeds and things like that. So then that kind of takes the labor away from your staff and yourself, and you don't have to think of a craft. You don't have to manage a craft. You just give them space at the market, which of course some markets have that space and some markets don't, but you give them that and then they kind of manage it themselves. And it's a good trade-off because then the parents are coming and saying, oh, you have an art camp. That's so great. And then they're getting business out of that. So it's a
So
good,
smart.
yeah, good partnership.
Yeah, because if you don't have that, you do have to think about when you set up these organized kind of things that are in a tent, who's going to man that? Do you have staff? And, maybe you've got a volunteer or an intern, as we talked about, that can run that. But if not, be careful about overcommitting your staff to that because it does take attention when you're managing small children, especially.
Yeah, I know at our big Saturday market, we don't usually have time or any kind of extra hands on deck to manage those kind of things, but we have used the bingo cards where we're just handing them out. We've handed out coloring pages where we just have stuff at our info booth to give out, and the kids don't like sit there and do it. They just take it with them. So that's really helpful if you don't have time or space to manage a big craft at your market.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
So we've heard some cool things in our Farmers Market Pros community that, that's our private Facebook group on that talks to one another. It's just for farmers market participants. So you can go there and sign up, but you got to prove that, and we check so that it's a valuable resource for everybody. You got to prove that you're an active farmers market participant as a vendor or a manager. But we get great ideas in there. Jessica Twardy Roberts from Arlington, Vermont, she actually ran a Facebook group for POP folks that were running that program for a long time. I think she's passed that off recently to someone else, but she, I know last year, not sure if she's doing it again this year, she did a big kids entrepreneur program where the kids like actually developed a business plan and they created a product, and then they had their own booth one day. So they had a day when kid entrepreneurs could have a booth. And I've seen folks do that in different iterations around the country. It's been a pretty fun thing.
That is a great way to get shoppers to your market as well. I mean, using these programs as a marketing tool for your market is a great exchange of, time and energy it takes to put into these things, even if someone else is running it. But all those kids' families and everyone that they know, they're going to say, come to the market and check out our kids' booth. And then while they're at the market, guess what they're going to do? They're going to buy produce. They're going to get a lemonade. They're going to tell their friends how great the market is. So just bringing in those extra people who maybe don't shop every week at the market, or maybe are not even familiar with the market at all. This is a great tool for that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Get them there, feed them a strawberry, get them an orange yolked egg, and they'll be hooked for sure. You can do other kinds of things, games that are kind of lower requirement of resources and staffing, but you just kind of add it to your info booth. Maybe guess the way to the watermelon. That's a fun one this time of year, or it would be a fun one this time of year. Who else in the country is seeing that for the first time that I can remember in ages, there's no watermelon for 4th of July?
The watermelons are not ready because we had such a cold, rainy winter that turned into a cold, rainy spring.
It seems like it's all over too.
Yeah.
I'm hearing that from various markets. But anyway, guess the weight of some kind of fruit or
Of
vegetable.
the summer squash.
Summer squash. Or, guess how many cherries are in a giant jar. That sounds like it would be sort of cherry relish by the end of the day, but some kind of durable fruit that you can put in a big jar and guess how many are in there. David Katsanas in Tucson, he posted in our private group, I think it was last year, they did zucchini races. So sort of like a little cart that the kids built, but it was made out of zucchinis, and they had little wheels on them and things, and they built a big sloping ramp, and they had zucchini races with the kids' carts, and that looked adorable. That is probably not a low resource activity. You'd have to have somebody that's clever enough to assemble little wheels and have those handy and all that and build that ramp. But oh my gosh, it was so cute.
How fun is that? If you have like a retired grandpa or somebody, I mean, I'm thinking about my dad would just love to do that. Funny. He's very crafty. Yeah, that's a great idea because how engaging is that? And then the pictures everyone's taking and sharing around. So that's awesome.
I feel like that could even be an opportunity for press because what TV station would not want to come out and take pictures of the zucchini races?
Absolutely. Get the press down there.
So we've entertained the kids at the market. What about those kids that are out for the whole summer and they need something to do? I mean, farmers, we very often see farmers having their kids, actually anything from young children, elementary school, middle school age, up to their teens and college age kids working with them at the market. That's a really common thing. Farmers and farmers market vendors, often those are family businesses. We've seen so many kids grow up at the market.
I know. I can't believe it. When we celebrated our anniversary recently, I looked at old photos from back when the market started, and there are tons of pictures of these market kids on little scooters around the market or hanging out in the back of the booth all together. And those kids are graduating high school. They're going to college now. So it was just crazy to see these little babies, and their parents are still farmers and vendors at our market now. And it was just so funny to show them the pictures and say, remember your little guy scooting around? So yeah, we see a lot of kids grow up. We see a lot of new kids that are coming. We have a couple farmers that bring their younger kids and help out. We have a Japanese rice ball food vendor at our market, Mitzi, and she brings her daughters, and they work the register, and they are just selling those. I think they're 10 and 11 or
somewhere around that. In fact, the little one may be younger. She may be like maybe 8 or 9.
Yeah.
And she's great at taking an order and suggesting that you add a drink to that order.
Very professional. It's giving me flashbacks of working in my mom's restaurant growing up.
Well, see, I think it's a great thing to raise kids in some kind of retail situation, a restaurant, a farmer's market booth. It's so good for them. I mean, if you do it right. So you need to train them.
Yep.
I strongly suggest you pay them.
Mhm.
Maybe not pay them too much, especially as they're teenagers. Watch that. It gives shy kids like incredible confidence. Bridget's sister was really, really shy as a kid, but putting her behind the cash register and letting her work, she sort of was able to act from that role as
Mhm.
opposed to being herself. And it got her comfortable with talking to people that she didn't know and really kind of broke down that shyness barrier. She can't stop her from talking now, but and I see that with a lot of kids where they're kind of shy personally, but if you give them a position, they're able to kind of operate from there and become much more comfortable with people, especially adults that they might be shy about talking to.
Yeah, it just gives them confidence, gives them work experience, and then when they go to their first real job, non-family job, they have that experience to rely on and kinda teaches them that they should feel invested in their business, even if it's not their family business. They should always take wherever they're working really seriously. I know that that's what working in a family business did with me when I worked at other places. It was like, "Okay, I'm taking this seriously because this is somebody's business. Even if
Right.
it's not my family's business, this is somebody's family's business."
Yeah, I'm always excited to hire somebody who has worked in a family business because I know they'll take it seriously. They'll understand that, this is what you're selling is actual property that costs somebody something to make, and the income from that is important. So you're not giving it to your friends.
Mhm.
I mean, it teaches them a lot of things. It turns them into terrific potential employees.
Yeah, for sure. We see a lot of vendors actually that have been bringing their kids for many years, and now their kids are older. They're like in college now, but they're the ones working the booth.
Right.
And they're just so great and so professional. They show up on time. They are really familiar with the market rules. They've gotten to know the customers over time. I mean, it's wonderful. If your kids are into it, it's a great opportunity for them.
Yeah, we have a Ruth's number 5 salsa, and her son Anthony has kind of grown up. He started as a kid when
Mhm.
she started the market. I think it's been about 10 years now, and he's in college now, and he's amazing in the booth. They call him their CEO, and the customers all know him and root for him. That he's a brilliant guy.
Yeah, and he is so friendly and fun at the market, and it's been nice to see, like, the evolution. It was kind of like Gina, like, coming out of their shy shell and now just so confident and happy and just great work ethic.
Yeah, for
Mhm.
sure. Also, it gives them spending money. So,
Yeah.
if you want your kids to be able to make some of their own financial decisions as they're getting older, it's nice for them to get paid to work in the business. They realize the value of that money, what it takes to generate that money, because they have to work to get it, and then they can spend it. I remember one of our farmers kids who started again, probably 8 or 9 in the booth.
Mhm.
He was so funny because he would take the money he earned working at the farmers market booth and go buy very sophisticated cheese from one of our cheese
Oh, yeah.
vendors. Remember him?
Yeah.
Oh, he was so cute, and he would take that money down there and very carefully evaluate which cheese he was gonna get that day, get a baguette from the bakery, and he was in heaven.
Think of the food education that these kids are getting
Right?
at the market, and they will always value good food. I
Yeah,
mean, that is really a priceless thing that you can give your kids, just teaching them the value of good, locally grown, healthy food at the market, just, like, really well made. I mean, that's something that's gonna last them the rest of their life.
sure.
So,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
carry
great.
him forward.
Yep.
And we do now see kids that have worked for their kids as really young children and are now teens or college age that are working for other vendors,
Yeah.
which is fun. So, they get a chance to kinda ease their way into that quote unquote "real job" for someone else.
Yeah.
And, if you run a market, you can use your kids to work for you. They can work at the info booth. They can answer questions. They can help people sign up for your email list. They can run a dot survey.
Yep, so many things to do. They can help process CPT, they can hand out flyers, like they can go around the neighborhood and put posters up in the businesses. I mean, there's a lot of work that college kids or high school kids can do for you as the market operator that maybe, you're not going to pull them on staff full time because they're going back to school, but you can, get them to do this busy work, especially if the summertime is your busy season or if you're only open for the summer season. Just get all of that kind of busy work done, with your kiddos. And it's a good thing to fill their time with.
If you got, a lot of your regular staffers maybe going on family vacations or something. So you've got
Mhm.
people with off time. It's great to use those kids to fill in while they're out of school.
For sure, or you can have your kids work for your vendors. My daughter worked for Maya's for a little bit
That's
at our
right.
cookie vendor.
That's right. Oh, and Shannon, the candle
Yeah,
vendor.
oh,
Yeah,
yeah, yes, my
that's right.
daughter likes to work for other vendors. Her and I don't work together so well, but she did help out in our COVID times. That
That's
was
true.
helpful. She
That's
was
true.
good in a pinch, but, sometimes you can work well with your kids, and sometimes your personalities are too similar.
Yeah, and it's just good to realize that and
Mhm.
recognize it and keep those lines of communications open. If it's not working for you to have your family work in your business, suggest they work for a different vendor. Make sure that you don't build up a resentment factor by making them work if it's not a situation where the chemistry is good.
For sure, yeah.
That makes sense.
Mhm.
College kids are out too.
Yeah.
right? This time of year. So this is a really good time to find interns.
Yeah, for sure. And some college kids are home with their families for the summer. And so maybe they're in your hometown where your market is. We have an intern this summer for the first time. It's the
I
first
think maybe the
intern.
first time we have not been a big intern
Yeah.
organization.
No,
Yeah.
we've always kind of talked about it, but it's a lot of work to manage an intern. I will say it's not easy because you have to work with the program that they're working with their school. So there's kind of like some guidelines that you have to follow. That makes it harder sometimes, but kind of easier because they give you a framework. But you kind of have to follow, ABC regulations with that. And you have to spend a lot of time giving them the background on the market and training them and teaching them a lot of information. So it's fun, but it is a little time consuming. But I am really enjoying it. We have a great intern and
Oh, good. Yeah.
she's like a self-starter and she has been really great. She's really focused on telling our shoppers that they can use their EBT at the market. So she's kind of focused on like a couple specific things about the market. She's a marketing intern. So she's marketing the EBT and then she's going to be marketing our weekday market to remind folks that they can shop in the middle of the week in our neighborhood. And yeah, and she's been doing shopper counts at the market. So she's
Yeah, which we
gathering.
haven't done for a long time.
Yeah, we haven't done that. So she's gathering data and she's really organized. She's interviewing a lot of our farmers to just see how they like selling at the markets. It's been interesting because I know our farmers so well. I've known them for years and years and years. But she's kind of doing these little mini interviews with them at setup time at the markets. And she's asking them questions and I'm reading their answers. And it's like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that about this farmer. Or, wow, it's really great to hear that like that's why they love coming to this market. And just, hearing their answers when they're talking to somebody that's not me is really interesting. So it's been a fun experience so far. She's with us until kind of halfway through August, but
Yeah.
yeah, she's doing great.
Yeah. And I know we had some misgivings about the idea of spending all the time that you do onboarding a new person if it's going to be a person that's clearly identified as temporary. She's only with us for a certain number of weeks. But as you say, the benefits have definitely outweighed that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I can see how maybe if your intern wasn't super great, it might be a frustrating experience. But I say if you're into it, just go for it, give it a shot. You do have to kind of get prepared and organize in the back end. But if you have the time to do that, it's a great experience. And really, when it comes down to it, like it makes me feel great that I'm like spreading this education and spreading this knowledge around. I mean, she came in and was like, yeah, I didn't really realize that that's how markets worked. And like, there's all this organization in the background and she's just learning so much about local food. And so educating her so well, I just know that she's going to go spread that around. And really that's the whole point of these markets, right? Is to teach people to be more connected with their food. So
absolutely.
Yeah. It's been great.
Yeah. And you know what, I think part of the program that she's associated with, it's through a farmers market association. And I think part of the idea is that we'll get these folks interested and aware that there's a whole organizational structure to markets, and maybe some of them will grow into market managers.
Yeah,
along the way.
she's very interested in the event management side of it, which is what is really going to turn into a market manager eventually if she decides to go down that path. There's some intern groups that are more like they're really interested in farming,
Sure.
which is fantastic. And being at the farmers market, of course, that's related field. But if they're interested in the like organic growing or soil or regenerative growing kind of practices, that's not necessarily going to turn into somebody who might manage a market eventually, because that's more like a marketing and event management person.
But that'd be a great intern for one of our farmers, for instance.
For sure.
Yeah. And I think they take this time of year too to kind of take advantage of some of those internship programs. And when their peak season for harvesting and all that requires a little more help, maybe somebody that normally comes to the market really needs to be on the farm during these months. It's great for them to pick up an intern that can maybe help with sales at the market and display and pump up their marketing, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's a great benefit all around. You can reach out to local colleges. I mean, sometimes they might reach out to you, but you can always just, look for their internship department or ask friends if their kids are in college to kind of figure that out. I mean, my daughter's in college, and so she knows the internship program there, but we have our intern through a different association. But there's a lot of programs out there, and I think that interns are usually looking for businesses that are really receptive to having them. So put your name out there if you're interested in it and kind of tell them what you can offer. And I mean, it's a great opportunity for these kids.
So helpful.
Really.
And actually, in our case, the internship program pays our intern, and we don't have to. So we are big believers in making sure that you use paid interns
for
if
sure.
at all possible, because just as an equity issue, you don't want to only be bringing in a certain group of people that's financially able to take a job where they're not getting paid. So we believe in paying interns. We believe especially in marvelous programs like this where the intern is getting paid, but not by us.
This is like best case scenario. Love it.
Love it, love it, love it. And then there's one other issue with kids being out for the summer, and that's that you may be seeing vendors that especially have young children, maybe in that, 3, 4, 5, 6 range, that are now showing up to the market with their kids, especially at weekday markets, where typically they would have been able to have them in preschool or in elementary school, and they don't have anywhere to go in the summer, and so they're bringing them to their booth. And that can be really fun, to see your vendors' families, and you want to be compassionate about it. A lot of these folks are they can't afford to get into paid childcare. They're entrepreneurs. We know their budgets are tight.
Summer camps are horrendously expensive.
They're so expensive, right?
And I honestly, like, on a parental side of it, the prices for I know we live in Southern California, so it's expensive here no matter what, but I do know this is happening around the country since COVID. The prices have gone up because, like, the ratios have to be different. They have to get all this backup staffing. There's some safety protocols.
Hard to find. You got to pay staff more.
Staff is really hard to find. So just insurance prices have just gone up for whatever. So the prices of summer camp are just outrageous. So that is causing a lot of parents to try to, like, figure out a plan B about what are they going to do with their kiddos during the week.
Yeah, and just kind of piece it together. So we are seeing vendors, and I've talked to other managers that are seeing more vendors with really young kids coming to the market. It's another thing that came up in our Facebook community. So, you want to be compassionate about it. You want to understand what they're up against. It's fun to see the kids to a certain point. Kids who are at a 4 or 5 hour market understandably end up bored. And so you've got to give them the support you can, and probably also communicate gently but firmly that the kids have to be supervised. You want to keep them safe. You don't want kids just running up and down the market, really little kids that are encountering, frankly, a lot of strangers. So you want to keep them safe. If they're around food service and things, there's hot things at the market. There's generators at the market. So you've got to be sure that they have those boundaries that they're aware of so they don't hurt themselves. And you want to make sure that they don't interfere with the vendor's sales. Hopefully not the parents' sales, but especially not their neighbors' sales. So it's not fair if that kid's bored and they're wandering into other booths and interfering with other vendors' businesses. So you do have to set some guidelines and some boundaries around it. Some markets have actual kind of official rules in their policies about how many kids you can have in your booth, and if so, what you have to agree that you're going to provide in terms of keeping them safe and keeping them entertained, and something for them to do so that they're not interfering with other vendors' businesses.
Yeah, and I would just kind of make those rules. I would kind of sit down now and think about what your rules should be and what you want your rules to be at your market, so you have those in writing. And then really the first time that they bring the kiddos to the market, even if they're behaving and they're just coloring in the booth, and just say, "Hey, it's great to see your kids. I just want to let you know these are our rules about having kids at the market," and just kind of give it to them straight away. We did have a market where a kid was constantly wandering into a neighboring vendor's booth and touching their stuff and talking to them and interfering with their sales, where that vendor was extremely frustrated, even though their vendor friend was their friend and they really liked the kid. It was just, they're in a business situation and they're trying to make money, and this is how they earn their living. So they're just kind of ride that balance a little bit.
Yeah, just keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
Some of that just needs to be managed between the vendors, but it's fair if you have some policies that provide an outline so you don't have that situation. I was at a conference. I was at the World Farmers Market Coalition conference recently, and Robin Moon there was reporting on a program in Ghana, I believe, pretty sure it was Ghana, where they had a lot of parents, and especially mothers, honestly, who were making a living by making something and bringing it to the market and selling it. And they always had children with them because there was not a structured daycare system. She was working in kind of small villages and things. And they realized, this organization realized that, and they made a very organized, deliberate effort to set up a cooperative area for the kids. So the kids weren't just super bored laying around in the booths or frustrated. They set up an area for the kids where there were books and there were crafts and there were toys, and they sort of had all the kids in that one area, and then they helped the mothers and fathers organize a system, kind of a cooperative system, where one vendor or their spouse would be in that area supervising the kids, making sure they stayed safe, had to go to the restroom, get them something to drink, and that let the other folks concentrate on their businesses, and then they'd take a turn spending an hour kind of supervising the kids. And it really created a wonderful feeling of community in the market, and also gave the parents a chance to let their businesses thrive while not worrying about their children being bored or not being safe. And in this way, really, the kids were being enriched. So it was really, really a lovely program.
I love that. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways that you can manage that. So it just depends. You just have to take a look at your market and see, what is the community that you're serving here, both your shoppers and your vendors. Like, what vendor community are you serving?
For sure. After all, farmers markets are a community, both within the market and in the ways they relate to surrounding neighborhoods and the shoppers who visit. It takes a village to raise children, as the old saying goes, and we're proud to be an integral part of that village.
Markets are for families.
That's right.
All right. Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode of Tent Talk. If you're somewhere that celebrates 4th of July, make sure you have fun and keep it safe out there for the whole family.
Thank you to Vendor 101 for helping small farmers and food makers launch successfully at farmers markets, and helping market managers to streamline their application process and welcome trained vendors to their markets, and for making Tent Talk, the Farmers Market podcast, possible. Our online classes, annual conference, and consulting services have let us create this free content every week for more than 4 years. To find more information about Vendor 101, Marketing for Markets, the Intense Conference, and our other programs and partners, check out the resource page at farmersmarketpros.com.
Thanks for listening to Tent Talk today. Please leave us a review on your podcast app or wherever you listen to Tent Talk. Let us and others know how you're enjoying the podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode of Tent Talk. Connect with fellow farmers market folks in our private Facebook group, the Farmers Market Pros community. Follow us on Instagram at Farmers Market Pros, and find online education and other resources on our website at www.farmersmarketpros.com. Tent Talk is brought to you by Farmers Market Pros, where passion meets profit. Tent Talk is produced by Haley Pascalades with original music by David Mead. Thank you so much for listening today, and tune in next week for another great episode.